I wanted to talk to you a minute about a company named GearVendor. Maybe a company you've never heard of before, and nobody would blame you, unless you're in the business of hauling a lot of stuff with a regular pickup that's outfitted to move heavy cargo. You probably would never have heard of it. But anyway, it's a company who makes a gear splitter for these pickups. My truck happens to have one. I have a 96 Dodge Ram 1-ton dually, and it's got a manual 5-speed transmission, but with the GearVendor it's actually an 8-speed. Basically it gives me a third, fourth, and fifth high gear. So the low is your normal gear, and then you can flip a switch and then you get a high gear for each one of those gears. Since I've owned the truck, the thing has worked flawlessly. The only issue is the old way of actuating it was a push-pull knob like the old semis would have for Jake brakes or whatever else. Nobody makes that anymore, or at least not commonly. GearVendor no longer offers it. And I figured I might as well do it right and order the part from them to make sure there was nothing lost in translation, nothing could get crosswired, nothing could get broken. Just wanted to cover my bases. And I wasn't too excited about the price tag. It was supposed to be $99. And that's all they said it was. Well, needless to say, it was a lot more than $99. It was $121.88. So, not sure what the tax in California is, but that's still a decent amount for shipping. And let me show you exactly what they shipped me for $100 plus tax and shipping. This tiny little aluminum anodized clamp, I'd say $5 part, maybe. And literally a 99-cent switch with some wiring for $100. I don't even know what else to say. So that upset me. I know I'll never buy anything from them again. It would have been one thing if when I talked to the salesman he said, you know, it's just a toggle switch. If he had said it's just a 99-cent toggle switch, you can get it anywhere, I would have been like, cool, I won't bother. So anyway, what I'm gonna do is I got this lighted push button switch, and I'm gonna put it in here. My truck's gonna get a little upgrade. This switch was, with the wiring harness, $4, I believe it was. I'll have to look it up. But should I have a problem in the future, there's an issue with the switch itself, I can just disconnect it, get a new switch for a couple bucks, good to go. So anyway, we're gonna now move into me just soldering these wires together for your GearVendor, so that this switch will just plug into their unit instead of their switch. But we'll probably just do a time lapse of that. Alright, let's get to it. sorry about the interrupt. I had to go check. So the system in the truck is 12 volt when it's in the off position. 12 volts runs through it. Then when you pull the switch, it interrupts the 12 volt, which actually tells the GearVendor to go to work. I'm glad I checked, because that's not what I thought it was. So any of the ways this switch says you're supposed to wire it wouldn't work for that application, given that it has an LED light inside. So the wires for the LED, positive and negative, are red and black. So for the moment we're going to leave those alone, and we'll run them their own source in the truck. These two wires get interrupted when you toggle the switch. So these are going to be our two wires to connect to the GearVendor. This blue wire doesn't matter. It's not being used for anything. So I'm going to solder these to that, and then for the time being, that's where we're going to stop. But yeah, seems pretty simple now that I actually, investigated. Yay! Get the soldering iron warming up. There we go. Doesn't look too terrible. So basically the way this is going to work out, this will bolt onto the shifter. I'm going to put a little sleeve around that so it's a lot tighter. And that'll be my overdrive, or split shifter. So we'll catch up with you when we go to install it in the truck. Alright. I'm going to clean up and go to bed. Good night. Good morning, fam. Okay, we are bright and early the next day, and we're going to get the switch installed. Here is my beauty. And I need to figure out how long my wire needs to be to go from the shifter to the box, which hopefully you can see is up there. So I'm going to get this out and we're going to get to work. Alright. Alright. It goes to the one that says manual control. Well, that's cute. Most of the screws are going out of here. This was a top-notch install, let me tell you. Get in the hole. Good. Boot's completely ripped out. Huh. Okay. This is the old setup that was on here. So in the closed off position, 12 volts ran through it, and then you'd pick your gear, pull it out, let go of the clutch, and you have a high gear. But as you can see, this thing used to be round once upon a time, and it's just continuing to degrade even further, and it's really super stiff, so I figured it was time to let it go. Alright, so let's see just how much wire we need here. Jeez. Well, we definitely got way more than we need. Alright, so I'm going to call it right there. Because I still have to connect the fancy patented telephone connector to go into the box. Alright, I'm going to do that, and we'll come back to the actual install. I'm also thinking I'm going to take the shift knob off so that I can put one or two big pieces of shrink wrap or heat shrink over the shifter just to hold the wire in place so it's a little more tidy. So if you don't see that on camera, you now know it's going to happen. Alright, back to you in a minute. Alright, so I figured we should probably go and do a test run, and the only way to really test it is to drive it before we finish the install, so don't laugh at all the wires, and pardon the background noise. All we gotta do now is finish up the wiring so the LED light works, make it look pretty. We're good to go. Alright guys, well, here's the finished product. I kind of skipped ahead, didn't show you anything, but what I did was, I know it's kind of ghetto, but I went ahead and just electrical taped the wiring to the shifter, ran it down under the edge of the boot like it was before, behind this cover, up over the carpet, plugged the one end into the box, and ran a wire to ignition, well, not ignition, but ACC power and ground. And as a final result, we have light. Well, you can see that. Has light on, light off, just it's lit as long as the truck's running. Alright, that's the end of this video. Hey! You made it to the end of the video. Well, I hope at least I was entertaining enough to earn your subscription, and I can promise you that what's coming in the future will be just as, if not more, entertaining and informative. So if you wouldn't mind, please spread the word, tell your friends, you know, hit that subscribe button. Hell, leave me some comments. I read every single one of them. Alright, until next time. Good thing we can do editing.